I want to take this moment at this time to share something with the entire congregation in reference to what happened this past week, in reference to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. The Supreme Court offered a ruling this past week that undermined what is known as judicial precedent. It has been the history of the court to look at previous cases as a standard, and if there is a ruling, to offer the narrowest possible ruling or throw out the case because of what is called precedent. But this court, in a 6-3 ruling, the Supreme Court of the United States did not offer a judicial ruling framed by scholarship, but a ruling, in my opinion, based on ideological partisanship and politics. A 6-3 ruling. All of the justices who were appointed by those who are Republican, 3 of them placed in there by a gentleman who is under indictment right now. The ruling states, in reference to affirmative action, states race cannot be used as a factor among other factors for entrance into a university. But what should be noted, please hear this, what should be noted, school cannot use race, but a school may use wealth, gender, neurodiversity, English as a second language. If you attend a private boarding school where that boarding school's members give to your university, that can be used as a factor. Your rural upbringing, or if you are a legacy, your parents, your godparents, your uncle or your cousin went to the school, can be used as a factor. If your mama or daddy gave $1 million, it can be used as a factor. Country of origin, listen to this. A school may use country of origin as a compelling case. For example, a school such as Harvard could say, it is in the national interest and the interest of the school to have Ukrainian students who can share experiences of living under siege, but not race. But they did offer this. Race may be used as a factor in military schools. In West Point, the Naval Academy, any place where you are entering into the military, they say there is a national interest to have black, brown, and indigenous officers in the armed forces. The brilliant Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson says, you want us in the bunker, but not in the boardroom. Now, this is interesting. Medical schools do not have a compelling interest to produce black doctors, brown doctors, indigenous doctors. They cannot use that. But military schools may, which means that the 6 justices who do not have, except one, do not have any experience being black, are essentially saying, we don't think that the health of black women are a compelling national interest. Why do I say the health of black women? There is a national epidemic of women who are black who are dying in childbirth. Now, one of the features of bringing people into what is known as medical school has been removed. Judge Clarence Thomas. I'm not even going to repeat what For y'all online, you all missed that. But I invite you to read the Dissent by Judge Sotomayor, who wrote the dissent, and then the one who added to that dissent, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. But it's very interesting that Judge Clarence Thomas, who did not write the majority opinion, wrote 15 pages directly addressing, scolding, and attacking, I would say, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. It is interesting, he wrote a term paper to go after a black woman, stating that where he grew up, race was not the factor. In segregated Georgia, after he had already stated, I would have never been able to attend Yale Law School if it had not been for affirmative action. What does this mean? I want to share with you what my father shared with me long ago when we were going back and forth about the importance of voting. I was in my mode of, it doesn't matter, Dad, they're going to do whatever they want, so on and so on. I was on my pseudo-radical soapbox. And my father said, in his Dr. Otis Moss Jr. voice, Otis, please know this, that a president will make a lifetime appointment known as judges who will shape your future for the next 50 years. That president will only be minimum president for 4 years, but will select judges and appoint them that will affect your future for 50 years. This is the most powerful piece of the presidency, is to be able to elect judges, not just to the Supreme Court, but federal judges across the nation. If there was ever a time where we need to educate ourselves, and if there was ever a time that we need to make sure and expand the electorate so that people vote, it is now. This ruling sets up a case or a precedent, as I've heard some say, where they've come after affirmative action today, and they're coming after HBCUs tomorrow. How can we be a part of the resistance? Vote, but not just for president. Vote on your local level. Vote to make sure you have representation in your neighborhood, but don't just vote. It is time for us to build our own agenda. You cannot depend upon a political party just to represent your agenda. We have to have an agenda that speaks to our needs. And this is going to be critical in the next coming years. And so I wanted to share that with this village, how important it is for us to understand what is happening in this world and in this community. I'm going to ask the media team to bring forth our Trinity News. But remember, make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you are voting, and educate yourself on this opinion that came down from the Supreme Court of the United States. And let me add this. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So we got 50% of the two black folk who have an understanding of the collective history of our community.